This is one half, there's the other half, of my JBL HLS-610 speakers. These things have been sitting essentially in this spot since 1999, when I first started having the money and time and access to internet, and the internet had things on it that I could buy, so that I got the bug to start going audiophile and upgrading. These come with grills, which I've got, which have been sitting in the box in the other room since 1999 too. I've never had the grills on. And I learned about these from, what was his name? Corey Greenberg. He wrote for Stereophile for years in a very, not archaic, not anachronistic, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, he had a very interesting writing style. And I loved reading his stuff in Stereophile. I remember he had a review of the Stax Volt boxed set that was just insane. He wrote about, I think, being in an oxygen chamber and the groove was getting to him. I don't know. But then he moved to audio for the last year of that magazine's life, which I had been subscribing to for years. And I remember he reviewed these. He reviewed an NAD 317, 314 integrated amp and CD player. And then he found a way to use this mu metal, these mu metal samples from a company that did X-ray stuff. And the mu metal samples, he would make a little cage around the motor of his Rega turntable. And he put on a Grotto cartridge because then it was finally shielded enough thanks to the mu metal from the motor. And he said that, plus these speakers, plus the NAD gear, was the dream budget system. I never got around to getting that other stuff. Although I did have a Grotto cartridge at once, and I had an NAD 533 turntable, which is essentially the Rega 2 turntable rebadged. But this was the only piece that I ever actually got my hands on and kept. And the speakers sound great for their size. That's what he was saying in the review. And I actually had a chance to buy these. I worked at Best Buy at the time, and they did employee pricing. It was sort of a thank you for us pushing their stuff, I guess. I don't know. So I was able to buy a pair of these, and they've been here, and I'm using them now in my second system, and they sound excellent. They're well built. Only caveat to these is they were replaced later by the S38, which I also had a pair of, and they were pretty good. They were a little more attractive, the S38s. But at Best Buy, I went to order a pair of those, and I'd seen that we were getting accommodation pricing, and they said, "You can't do that, you don't work here." I said, "No, I do work here for another 2 weeks." It turned out when I filled out my paperwork at the end of my previous shift, giving them 2 weeks notice, it said last date and it said separation date, and I think I put that day's date. So they thought I was quitting with, 10 minutes notice. Really, I was quitting with two weeks notice, if you'd read the whole thing. And I can't blame them for thinking that, and I didn't know how to do this, so that was my fault. But I wasn't able to get the S38s on accommodation pricing, but then I got a really good deal on them later from elsewhere. And I eventually sold those because I've always liked these better for some reason. But that's them, the HLS610s. There's also an HLS810, I believe, which has maybe 2 of these and is obviously taller. I've never experienced those, but I'm sure they're nice too.